They fired 6 tutors, mocked every adult and failed every test, until the new maid looked them in the eye and said, "You don't scare me. I've buried someone I loved. What have you lost?" In that moment, everything changed, but not the way anyone expected. The iron gate was taller than any building Amara had lived in. It creaked open slowly, as if even the machines here moved with dignity. The mansion beyond was stunning: sterile white stone, glass staircases and walls too clean to feel like home. She clutched her canvas bag tighter. Inside was a worn photo of her brother. She still couldn't say his name without choking. She hadn't spoken it in weeks. "ID?" the guard asked, not looking at her. She handed over the laminated badge she'd been mailed. "Amara Fields, house staff." He buzzed her in. No welcome, no smile. Just like the temp agency said, rich people didn't want stories, just silence. The housekeeper met her in the foyer. "You'll take the east wing. The twins' rooms are there. Stay out of the study. Mr. Dalton works late. Don't make noise." Amara nodded, but she didn't miss the tone. Others had come before her, others had failed. Upstairs, behind 2 separate doors, 2 lives unraveling in luxury. Liam, 12, sat hunched over a failed test. Again, 32%. Red ink bled across the page like a wound. He shoved it under his pillow. His room was a futuristic jungle: VR sets, a gaming chair, even a drum kit he never touched. Lila, also 12 but in another world entirely, twirled in front of a massive mirror. Her hair was tied with silk ribbon. Her eyes, however, were dull. Her ballet tutor had quit that morning, number 6 this year. Their lives were packed with everything except warmth. At dinner, they barely looked up as trays were delivered. Mr. Dalton wasn't home, again. His seat stayed cold at the head of the table. When Amara brought in a second napkin without being asked, Lila side-eyed her. "You know you won't last, right?" Amara set the napkin down. "Is that a challenge?" Liam rolled his eyes. "It's a fact." Amara just smiled, that quiet, tired kind of smile. "Guess we'll see then." And for the first time in a long time, the twins didn't know what to say. It happened on the 3rd day. The math tutor, a young man with a clipboard and a $1,000 watch, stormed out of the East Wing, face flushed red with embarrassment. "They're impossible," he muttered to the housekeeper on his way out. "They laughed when I cried." The door slammed. Silence followed. Amara, mopping the marble tiles in the hallway, heard it all. She waited a beat, then pushed her cart slowly toward the twins' rooms. Inside, Liam and Lila were high-fiving. Lila tossed a crumpled worksheet into the air like confetti. "Another one bites the dust," Liam said with a smirk. "That one didn't even last half an hour." Amara walked in without knocking. Her eyes scanned the room, landing on the broken pencil, the ripped paper, the untouched textbooks. Lila crossed her arms. "You're not the tutor. You don't get to be in here." "No," Amara said softly. "I'm not your tutor. I'm someone who lost a little brother who used to cry over math the same way you just made that man cry." That silenced them. The twins looked at each other, then at her. She didn't move. She didn't raise her voice. "I don't care how rich you are," she said finally. "You don't get to treat people like that. You're better than this." Liam snapped back first. "You don't know us." "I know pain when I see it," Amara said, "and I know when someone's screaming without using words." That landed harder than she expected. Lila's jaw tightened, and for the first time she looked like a child and not a queen. "I said leave," Lila muttered, voice small. Amara nodded and stepped out. She didn't slam the door. She didn't look back. Liam found her in the kitchen. He stood awkwardly by the fridge, avoiding eye contact. "Hey," he mumbled. "Do you know any tricks for long division?" Amara looked up from the dishwater. She didn't smile, she didn't move. She just said, "Only if you promise not to make me cry." He nodded, eyes low. "Good," she said. "We'll start tomorrow, after chores." "Chores?" He blinked. "I'm a Dalton." Amara dried her hands. "You're also 12. Get a broom." And for the first time, Liam laughed. a real one. If you were in her shoes, would you have walked away or stayed to teach them something real? Comment your instinct. Walk out or fight for them? By Friday, the schedule had changed. Amara didn't ask for permission. She just started appearing at 9 a.m. sharp with breakfast, flashcards, and a timer. She'd mix scrambled eggs with spelling drills. Mornings came with math quizzes disguised as riddles, and everything, from setting the table to folding pajamas, was now a life skill. Lila complained first. "This isn't your job," she muttered one morning, arms crossed. "You're the maid, not our teacher." Amara didn't even look up from the flashcards. "I'm whatever you need, baby, and right now you need someone who won't give up on you." The words were soft, but they hit like thunder. Liam didn't say much either. He'd roll his eyes and fake coughs trying to weasel out of the table lessons, but when Amara accidentally made math a game with chocolate chips, he gave in, with a grin he didn't even realize he wore. Still, it wasn't smooth. Lila locked herself in the bathroom one afternoon, cried for 45 minutes straight because she couldn't spell consequence. When Amara sat outside the door, she didn't lecture, didn't even speak. She just sang. Softly, a hymn that filled the hallway like warm soup on a cold night. Eventually, Lila opened the door. Her eyes were red, but she was quiet. "Why do you care?" she asked, voice cracking. Amara looked at her and said, "Because I know what it feels like to have no one who does." That night, Mr. Dalton came home for once. He walked into the kitchen where Amara was cleaning up leftover flashcards. His cologne filled the room before he even spoke. "You're not being paid to teach," he said curtly. Amara stood still, calm. "No, sir. But your children are starving for more than food." He blinked, almost offended. "They've had the best of everything. They've had everything but someone who stayed long enough to care." A long silence. Mr. Dalton looked at the cards on the table. "I hired you to clean," Amara nodded, "and I'm cleaning what's really dirty." He didn't respond, just walked away, his silence louder than any scream. That night, Liam peeked into the kitchen. "She okay?" he whispered to Lila. Lila shrugged. She didn't cry. That's something. It started with thunder. By 3 p.m., rain pounded the Dalton estate like it was trying to wash the whole place clean. Tutors cancelled. Drivers stayed home. The mansion went still, just Amara, the twins, and a storm that seemed to hold its breath. Then the power cut. No lights, no internet, no screens. Panic set in. "I can't charge my tablet!" Lila shrieked. "My game was saving! Ugh!" Liam kicked the wall. Amara walked in, holding candles like some kind of time traveler. "Guess we'll have to talk to each other now." They groaned in unison. "I'll be in my room," Liam muttered. "Nope," Amara said. "Your room's dark. The living room has the only window. Come on." She didn't give them a choice. She lit candles, placed blankets on the couch, and plopped down like she owned the place. Lila looked confused. "Are you sitting?" "I'm off the clock," Amara smiled, "and I make a mean thunderstorm cocoa." They blinked. 10 minutes later, the three of them were curled under a blanket, cocoa in hand, while rain painted streaks down the tall glass windows. Lila broke the silence. "Did you really lose your brother?" Amara's smile faded, but she nodded. "Yes. Marcus was 16. He loved maps and hated math. Got hit by a drunk driver walking home from the library." The twins were quiet. The rain filled the silence for them. "I used to help him with homework," she added. "That's why I know what it looks like when kids are drowning in more than just bad grades." Liam whispered, "We're not drowning." Amara didn't argue. She just looked at him gently. "Okay." Another silence. Then Liam whispered, "I didn't even cry when Mom died. Lila did. I didn't." Lila turned to him, startled. "I just wanted to play video games," he added, voice cracking. "And when I got that fee, I thought maybe if I failed hard enough, Dad would come home." Amara reached out. She didn't hug him, just laid her hand lightly over his. "That's not drowning," she said. That's surviving the only way you knew how. The next morning the storm was gone, but the power hadn't come back. Lila was the first one awake. She padded barefoot down the east wing hallway and noticed Amara had left her bedroom door slightly open. She shouldn't have looked, but she did. On the nightstand was a worn journal, and beside it, a photo. 2 kids. One of them was clearly Amara, younger, smiling. The other was a boy, tall and thin, holding up a library card. Lila froze. She heard footsteps and quickly stepped back. Amara entered, half smiling. But when she saw where Lila was standing, her face shifted. "You looked through my things?" Amara asked quietly. Lila's voice shook. "Is that him? Marcus?" Amara walked past her and picked up the photo gently, like it might fall apart. "Yes." "I didn't mean to snoop." Amara just sat on the bed. "He wanted to be a teacher. Said he'd build a school for kids who hated school." She gave a dry laugh. "We were poor, but he had dreams like we were rich." Lila sat beside her. "What happened after?" "He died." "I shut the world out," Amara said. "Didn't talk. Didn't work. Thought I'd lost my reason to care." "And now?" Lila asked. Amara finally looked at her. "Now I think maybe he didn't die for nothing. Maybe helping you two means something." Lila's lip trembled. "I miss my mom." "I know," Amara said. "And that missing? It doesn't stop. But we learn how to carry it, together." Later that day, Mr. Dalton came home early, unannounced. He found Liam sweeping the hallway and Lila helping Amara fold towels. "What is this?" he barked. The room fell silent. "Why are my children doing chores like servants?" Liam stepped forward. "Because she's the only one who treats us like people, not projects." Dalton stared at him. "Excuse me?" "She listens," Lila added. "She actually sees us." Amara stepped between them gently. "I asked them to help, not because they had to, because it teaches value." Dalton's voice was cold. "Pack your things. You're done here," Lila screamed. "No." Amara took a breath. "It's okay, baby." "No, it's not," Liam said. "You're the only one who stayed." Amara's eyes filled, but she didn't let the tears fall. Not yet. She turned to Dalton. "I hope someday you see them the way I do." And she walked out. She didn't expect to see them again. Amara had returned to her tiny apartment 2 bus rides away from the Dalton estate. The silence there was different, heavier, lonelier. She folded towels out of habit, but her hands kept missing the corners. On the 3rd day there was a knock. She opened the door to find Liam and Lila, drenched in sweat and dust. "What on earth?" "We walked," Liam said, out of breath. "You walked?" Amara looked horrified. "That's over 5 miles." Lila held out a wrinkled sheet of paper. It was a handwritten letter. "We're failing again," she whispered. "Not grades, just everything. Please come back." Amara looked at them, at their messy hair and scraped knees, and that paper shaking in Lila's hand. "I'm not your maid," she said gently. "You're our Amara," Liam replied. "Please." She let them in. The apartment was small, nothing like their mansion. No chandeliers, no butlers, just mismatched chairs and warm smells of cinnamon and fabric softener. "What's that smell?" Lila asked. "Real life," Amara smiled, "and maybe a little cornbread." They laughed. Over cocoa and cornbread, Amara taught them how to sew a button. She told them stories about Marcus, the time he got a 0 for writing a love poem as a math answer. They howled with laughter. "You miss him every day, huh?" Liam asked. "Every single one," she whispered. "But talking about him brings pieces of him back." Lila nodded slowly. "Maybe. Talking about Mom would help too." Liam looked surprised but said nothing. They sat in that tiny kitchen for hours, surrounded by the scent of healing. Not all at once, but slowly, surely. That night, Amara walked them halfway home. "I'll talk to your father," she said. "Not for a job. For you." Lila hugged her tight. "Do we get another lesson tomorrow?" Amara grinned. "Only if you promise not to make me do homework." Liam smirked.
Deal.
For the first time in a long time, the twins walked back into that mansion not feeling like they were alone. Amara was back. Not as staff. That door had closed. But with Dalton's guarded permission, she came twice a week to help with schoolwork and life things, as Lila called it. Everything was better, until the interview aired. Mr. Dalton had done a segment for a major business network, a profile piece on balancing fatherhood and fortune. Amara didn't know about it until she saw it on a customer's TV at the laundromat. The host asked, "Your children struggled in school last year. How did you turn things around?" Dalton laughed, that trademark PR smirk. "I brought in structure, discipline. I stopped relying on staff to raise my kids and took responsibility." Amara's face dropped. No mention of her, no Marcus, no Coco, no love, just him, taking credit. She didn't want to confront him, she wanted to forget it. But Lila saw the video too. She stormed into the kitchen where her father was having coffee. "How dare you?" she snapped. Dalton blinked. "Excuse me? You lied. You said you changed us. You didn't even see us." Dalton put down his cup slowly. "I gave you a roof, tutors, everything." "No," Liam said, entering behind her. "You replaced us with all that." Dalton stood. "You're being ungrateful." "And Amara?" Lila's voice cracked. "You used her, then erased her." Silence. Amara walked in mid-sentence. She had heard everything. "Stop," she said softly. "Don't fight for me." "No," Lila snapped. "We should fight for you." Dalton turned to her. "This was never personal. You were hired help." That broke it. Amara's face fell. Something behind her eyes shattered. Not rage, but the quiet heartbreak of being invisible again. She turned to the twins. "I love you both, but I can't stay where I'm erased." "Please," Liam begged, "don't go." Amara shook her head. "Sometimes love isn't enough." And she walked out, for real this time. The mansion felt different. It wasn't the silence. That was always there. It was what filled it now, regret. Liam couldn't sleep. He sat on the floor of his room with all Amara's flashcards in a shoebox. Some had bent edges, food stains, even a smiley face she drew when he finally got long division. He hadn't cried when his mum died, but he cried now, not loud, just quiet sobs that soaked into his sleeves. He walked into Lila's room around midnight. She was awake too. "I don't care if Dad says no," Liam whispered. "I'm going to see her." Lila didn't follow him. She stayed back, digging through her dresser until she found the letter Amara had written them weeks ago. A goodbye they never opened, still sealed. She peeled it open slowly. "If you're reading this, I probably didn't get to say goodbye the way I wanted to, but I need you to know you are not broken. You're not failures. You are good. You are worth staying for. And even if the world tells you otherwise, remember that I saw you, the real you, and I'm proud of that person." Lila pressed the letter to her chest and finally let herself sob. Dalton stood in the study, drink in hand, staring at a still frame from the interview. He saw his own face frozen in confidence, success, control. And yet, he'd never felt smaller. He glanced at the hallway, empty. The house was cold again. His grip on the glass tightened until his knuckles whitened. He had built empires, but he had no idea how to rebuild trust. A knock. Amara opened the door slowly, expecting silence. But Liam stood there, holding a folded flashcard. "I fixed it," he said, handing it to her. It was the one he had torn in half during his first tantrum. Taped together now. Amara looked at it, then him. "I don't want to survive anymore," he said. "I want to learn how to live. With you." She couldn't speak. She just pulled him into the gentlest, fiercest hug he'd ever known. Mr. Dalton waited by the front door when Liam and Lila came home. No driver, no assistants, just him, standing awkwardly, like a stranger in his own home. "I saw her," Liam said, eyes tired but clear. "She okay?" Dalton asked quietly. "No," Lila answered, but she still smiled. Dalton nodded once, then handed them something, a key. "To the guest house," he said, I offered her a job again, not as a maid, as family. Liam blinked. She said yes? She said she'd think about it, Dalton said, which, coming from her, means maybe. The key turned in the door. Amara stepped in, slow and steady. She looked around. The guest house had been dusted, windows open, curtains dancing in the breeze. A vase of lilies sat on the table. Next to it, a handwritten note from Lila. This place was always a house. You made it a home, please come back. Behind her, Liam appeared holding something behind his back. What's that? She asked. He grinned, pulled out a whiteboard. We made a new test, he said, but this one's for you. She raised an eyebrow. Oh? He flipped it around. It read, Will you stay if we promise to never stop learning from you? Yes, no. Only if there's cocoa. She burst out laughing, that full-belly, soul-deep laugh she hadn't felt in years. I'll stay, she said, checking the last box, but only if you do the dishes. Later that evening, Amara sat with the twins in the same room they had once thrown tantrums in. Now Liam was reading aloud from a book. Lila corrected his pronunciation. They bickered like siblings, not rivals. Dalton walked in quietly. Amara stood to leave. Old instincts. He stopped her. Stay. She hesitated. I was wrong, he said. You didn't just clean this house. You cleaned something I didn't even know was broken. I didn't fix them, Amara said. No, he agreed. You showed them how to fix themselves. She nodded once, then sat down beside them, not as help, not as a guest, but as part of the story. Do you believe true love can survive even after being tested this hard, even when it comes from someone unexpected? Tell us in the comments what you believe. Can love like this change lives?